Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews.
That was a good one.
I'm on a high after our team meeting. Just so great to see everybody, man. We've got so many people dedicated to helping guys around the world. It's just awesome. And it's awesome to see everybody's growth over time.
It is. Well, I'd love to dive in. I've got 20 minutes. So until I actually go into a coaching session with Amelia and our intimacy coach. So I want to bring something to the table. It's a question. And I posted this into our free community a few days ago and got some interesting responses from the guys. And that question, and it came, by the way, just to preface this, it came off the back of a conversation Amelia and I were having, which was all around sex and, what drives sex for women and so on. And anyway, the question is, if you were to rank these, which one of the, how do you think these rank rather for a woman? And these four things, Doug, if you want to write them down, and you guys listening, if you want to write them down. A is respect. B is safety. C is desire. D is affection. How do you think they rank? Now, I've got some interesting responses in the comments, and I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it. You probably figured it out already.
For women or for men? How do they rank?
For women. Yeah, for women.
Got my list. I don't know if they're right, but I got them.
Okay. So what do you think?
I think safety is number one.
Mm-hmm.
I think desire is number two. I think affection is number three. Respect is number four.
Yeah, that was my order.
Clearly not the right one.
No, do you know what? Honestly, I've not ran this by. I will actually. I'll run it by the intimacy coach, Pastor Irene. But safety definitely is number one, right?
Oh yeah, and not just physical safety, right? We're talking about safety, emotional safety, just feeling safe in the environment they're in.
Yeah, exactly, right? A common mistake or a common confusion that the men have when they come to us is, hey, Tim, I've built this life for the family. We're in this ideal home. I've actually built the home, the dream home that we always wanted to have, the vacation home. We've got the car. I don't get it. She's got everything she's always ever wanted. Why does she give me the cold shoulder? Why is she distant? Why don't I get appreciation? The reality of that is women don't want to be provided for financially. They want to be provided for emotionally first.
100%.
Which leads to the feeling of safety for them, right?
Yep.
And it's a very primal thing for women. And the interesting thing is, I'm making a judgment here based on what the guys have written in the comments, because some of the guys in the group actually took this question to their wives. And I'm going to just bring up what some of the wives said. So one of the wives said she would rank them as safety being third. That's what she said. He didn't say how the other ones ranked. That was one guy. But she ranked them as safety being she ranked them as safety being third.
Well, I'm curious here, right? Have these people preface what safety really is, right?
Well, this is the thing. But obviously the guys, this is the whole assumption, right? Somebody else's wife, she put C first. I'm not too sure which is correlates. You might have to help me out here, but she put C first, then D, then B, and then A. So she's put C, she's put desire, affection, she put safety, and then respect last. And I think there's a primal need, right, for women, like we've just spoken about, to feel safe in order to then have the foundation to open up intimately, right? And what's interesting, I'm curious to hear your take on this, is, like you said, obviously prefacing this and giving it context if you can ask your wife, is very important because she might think you mean physical safety, so she doesn't have any fear of physical harm,
Exactly.
right? Um, which is still interesting in itself, right? Because if that's where the mind of the woman went first, this isn't anything against these women, by the way. It's just I'm just kind of spitballing with you here. But if this is where the mind of the woman went first, it might be safe to assume that emotional safety maybe wasn't even on her radar. There's nothing wrong with that. But that then just shows the power of, for example, the hidden motives technique, right? Which gives you a way to meet your wife's needs emotionally without her telling you what they are. Because, sometimes as guys, we're problem solvers and we just want the woman to tell us what the problem is so that we can solve it. But the thing is, if she doesn't know what the problem is herself, or she doesn't have an understanding of the problem herself, there's nothing wrong with that, then she's never going to be able to explain it anyway.
Yeah.
So then if you try ask her to explain it and she can't, or you try and solve the problem that she says is the problem, you often anyway, the risk that you run is investing a ton of energy and time into solving a problem that never was. You then get annoyed and frustrated that, hey, I'm doing all this work, I've done what you've told me to do. Why is it still in this position? Why are we not having sex? Why are you still arguing with me? Just give me a break. And perfectly good marriages, perfectly good relationships can then just be lost. So again, hidden motives technique. If you guys listening haven't downloaded the hidden motives technique, you can get it in the Facebook group. Go over there, search the Powerful Man Facebook group. You can get it in there. I don't think it's up on the bonus page right now, is it, Doug? I think that's the Reignite still.
Nope.
Or go back and listen to the podcast episode on hidden motives technique, because what we have seen to be true for a lot of men, and maybe it'll be true for you, maybe it won't, but what a lot of guys have said to us is when they actually apply the hidden motives technique consistently, and this is what you've just been taking the guys through, right, in the Powerful Marriage Reset, when they've stuck to it and they've done it consistently, what did one of the guys say to you? That he's gone from what to what? I can't remember what the result was.
There's a lot of guys that have had amazing results, so I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
I'll let you dive inside.
They've had results. Some guys have gone from sleeping on the couch to back in the bedroom. One guy's wife said, "There you are, that finally the man I knew you were, the man I married." Yeah. It's just been amazing to see all the results these guys got after just one technique, 1 week. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what's kind of your take on this? Obviously, you've got a lot to share on this. And obviously, a lot's been coming up for you, I'm guessing. So what's your take on this? What's your opinion?
My opinion is safety is definitely number one, right? And as I look at this list, I'm like, would respect be number two? Or I don't know, right? So I do think safety is definitely number one, right? Women want all of these. Let's call it what it is. But safety emotionally is definitely number one, because if a woman doesn't feel safe with you emotionally and everything else, the desire is not going to be there. The affection's not going to be there for sure. The respect could be there, right? But that's a business relationship, right? Now you have a business relationship there. I've told this story before on the podcast, but gosh, a decade and a half, maybe more than that. I was at a seminar, Tim, with thousands of people, right? A lot of people at this place. And the person conducting it, the speaker that was giving this lecture, had all the men stand up, right? All the guys stood up and they said, guys, who here has been, feared for their life, actually their safety, their physical safety, in the last 6 months, right? Stay standing. The rest of you sit down. 95% of the guys sat down. A few of them up, right? He said, how about in the last month, right? If you feared for your life in the last month, remain standing, A couple guys standing up, right? In the last week, right? Maybe one guy. And I'm talking like 10,000 people, right? Just a huge amount of people. One dude. Okay, cool, right? He's had something happen to him and that it sucks. Then he said, women, ladies, stand up. Right. And so again, it's about 50-50, Tim, here, so imagine, let's just call the number 10,000. I don't remember what the number was, but 10,000 people. And so 5,000 were women. He said, all right, women that have feared for their life physically in the last 3 months, stay standing, everybody else sit down. I don't think one woman sat down. All right. You're like, whoa, that's crazy. He said, how about the last month? A handful of women sat down, just a handful. The last week, right? I'd say half about sat down, right? But half stood up. That's huge. It's like 2,500, 50%. He said, how about in the last 24 hours? And again, only about a handful stood up. And the seminar speaker was like, you've been here in this hotel with me in the last 24 hours. And he brought a couple of the women on the stage and they said, look, we're always looking over our shoulder, right? Our whole lives, men have wanted something from us, right? Since we were little girls. As we grow up to women and teenagers, guys are trying to sleep with us and slip us drinks. We got to be careful about rape. We got to be careful about we're not physically as strong. We're always on heightened alert. So yeah, we could be scared. Like if I have to go up in an elevator by myself, or if I'm walking down a corridor and a guy turns the corner and I just don't know who he is, I'm scared. And that's physical safety, not let alone emotional safety. Right? You got to get past the physical safety part before you can get to the emotional safety part. And that's a whole nother order. And a lot of us guys, since we don't get it, we can screw up that realm, Tim. I know I have, where I've made it not safe, where I've yelled, raised my voice, and done things of that nature.
Yeah, it's easy. I remember we jumped on one of the sessions, Amelia and I, and I think she asked us how things were. And Amelia turned and said, well, I said things were great. Yeah, they're great.
It's a dangerous question, right?
And I said, well, yeah. Obviously I gave more description, but I said, yeah, I've not really seen you a great deal today, have I? And I'm like, what you mean? Like we woke up together, we did yoga together, and she's like, yeah, but and then obviously I work from home, right? She's downstairs. I go and eat down there, and I'm constantly seeing her. I'm constantly walking past her. I'm constantly, literally, never more than during the day, unless she goes out or I go out, a few meters away, really, be it up, down, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, for a woman, what we went into was the fact that for women, unless they feel that emotional connection, that emotional safety, then I'm like a stranger. At the end of the workday, if I come down and before we used to do check-ins and all the rest of it, Amelia might have eaten, I might be cooking my food, I'll sit down, we may talk a little bit. Obviously in the past, we'd go to bed and, I'd want to have sex, but she just wasn't there, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, I've been providing, I've been doing it, I've been with you all day, I'm here, but the reality was, it's very easy to become a stranger to a woman, even when you're in a relationship with her, right? And that feeds directly into the safety piece. Like you said, there can be no desire without that emotional safety first. And I don't think respect is high up there, because I think women don't want to, I think they'll, from a desire standpoint and a sexual standpoint, I think women want to be taken.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part. And that isn't in a respectful way. And I don't mean all women, but I think a lot of women do.
Well, I think it's a bell-shaped curve, right? Like most men, some men are very, very feminine, right? They're very feminine. It doesn't mean they're gay, and there's nothing wrong with either, but they're very feminine. But a bell-shaped curve of men are going to be more masculine, right? The majority of guys are going to be masculine. But I think it's the same thing with women.
For sure. So yeah, when I look through the responses, do you know what? In terms of safety, I'm going to count how many guys put safety.
Yeah, I don't know why I missed this post that you put in here, but I'm looking at all these comments. There's a ton of them. It's great.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3.
I'll let you count, but also as you're counting, I think most of the guys that are in here, because I know some of these guys that put their comments in here, and the reason that theirs are so out of whack is partially because the reason that their relationships are so out of whack. Like some of these guys are just starting their path or haven't started this path. Like I'm looking at one guy's response and, his order is completely out of whack. and he's wondering why his marriage isn't working. And he hasn't taken any action. He shows up, and I give him credit for showing up in the group, but he hasn't taken action. He's got on calls with our guys about the activation method. He's never jumped in. But he's way off here with his order and his comments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some guys are saying, hey, it depends on values and love languages, which it kind of does higher up when you talk about affection to a degree. But the base of it is always going to be safety. Because that's like the primal desire. It's primal within women. Like you said, they're always, even when it was hunter-gatherer, they were the one left at the cave, look after the kids. They were always looking over the shoulder to see what predators were on the horizon, right? That's why women can have like the whole diffused focus, diffused attention, whereas we don't. Feeds into that. So yeah, anyway, the number there of 33 comments, 7 people put safety as first. It's like 25%, which I reckon if the sample size was even bigger, I reckon that'd shrink. If we were to go 100, I reckon it'd drop down to more like 15%, is a guess. And my assumption here, from looking at these guys, I reckon there's 2 guys. And this isn't anything against any of the guys, by the way. There's 2 guys that really, in my opinion, I can say confidently understand why they've put safety first.
Well, and also, to be fair, some of these guys have been through the activation method and they're getting the answers right. So that your numbers are kind of skewed. It's 20%, right? 7 out of 33 is 21. But it's skewed in the sense that if you took the guys that have already, a couple of these guys have solved their relationship problems. They've been through the activation method. I'm looking at one guy in particular right here. So he's on a great path, and he's got the answer right. He and I might disagree on respect, the order it's in. But if we took him out of there, right now, you're down to something like 5 out of 33.
Yeah, there's 2 guys out of those 7 actually that have graduated activation. No, 3 guys. So now we're down to 4.
So that's where it gets a little bit more interesting. And I know some of these other guys that have jumped in just from conversations I've had. I know we're going a little bit off topic here, Tim, but at the same time, you look at this area, once I learned about emotional safety being a big one. So I remember my wife when we were going through our stuff, and her saying, I don't feel safe. And me going, you gotta be kidding me. You don't feel safe? Like at this time I was in great shape. I'm thinking I'll take, there's no one around, but if someone comes around, I'll take them down. Like, of course you're safe. And she's like, you don't get it. I'm like, you're right. I don't, because you're super safe, right? No one's going to touch you. She wasn't talking about it. She's like, no, Doug, I don't feel safe around you emotionally. And I still didn't get it. It took me a while, Tim, to really attach onto it. But when I figured it out, it was a paradigm shift for me that stuck.
Yeah. And I think as well, this is the power of the importance of decompression as well. Because if you walk in through the door in an evening, and we spoke about transition time on another podcast, didn't we? But let's say if you don't have the transition time and you go straight from problem solving mode into the relationship, and you're looking at her through that same lens that serves you so well in business, then you're going to be on completely different wavelengths as well. And even if you tried to use the hidden motives technique in that scenario, it still wouldn't work. You've got to, and this is why Live as a King system is the basis of the triad connection, right, of leadership. So anyway, thank you for indulging me on that. I really enjoyed it. It was very useful.
Me as well. I find it interesting to look at the way that I put it down, because I did miss that. Just goes to show you how much great stuff's going on in that group, the Powerful Man group on Facebook. I get to hang out there a little bit more as well. Well, Tim, thanks for bringing that to the table. Gentlemen, as always, if this is your first time visiting us, go over to thepowerfulman.com/bonus and get that reignite cheat sheet that Tim was talking about. It's awesome. And then also, if you've been here before, right, you listen to our podcast, I'm going to ask you one thing. Just leave an honest review, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you find us, and share it with a friend. Guys, as always, nothing but respect for the journey that you're on, you being here. We're here for you, and make it a great week. We'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.